From the stable of the living television, and I'm sure you are going to enjoy today's own. Let's look at the topics we'll be looking at today. First, the Supreme Court declares cash withdrawal limit illegal. Afenifere says Peter Obi is the winner of the February 25, 2023 presidential election. Obidate says they are making progress with the inspection of the electoral materials. INEC chairman releases list of states where governorship and state houses of assembly elections will not hold. 2023 presidential election results, Labour Party releases list of legal team. These and many more will be coming your way today, and I'm sure you're sitting very tight to listen to our wonderful analyst. From my far left, I have Barrister Chukwuemeka Wogo. Barrister Chukwuemeka Wogo is a practicing lawyer, a security consultant. Above all, he is also a human affairs analyst. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Thank you, moderator, and good day, viewers.
After him, I have Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi is a historian, also a political affairs analyst. He's a man who deals with dates and numbers. Comrade, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
All right. The Supreme Court has said that the CBN's cash withdrawal limit is illegal and against the fundamental rights of Nigerians. CBN neither confirmed nor denied the Apex Court's ruling, but said anything about the ruling on the cash withdrawal limit. Having said that, the Supreme Court has said that the cash withdrawal limit set by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, violates Nigerians' rights. Counsel.
Well, remember, I've not changed my position regarding the non-appearance of the CBN before the Supreme Court. Our little problem is that for those of us who are quarreling with that particular procedure adopted, which has robbed CBN of appearance before the Supreme Court, and there is no other court that you could go to challenge that decision, because in this instance, the Supreme Court became the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end in one breath. If it had been something that happened properly at the Federal High Court, we would have been able to check what the other appellate courts would have said. Having made that point, that I still quarrel with the fact that orders were made against a person, a party, not before the court. I will now proceed to say that that still remains the position of the law. Because if the Supreme Court said it, then the Supreme Court has said it. I know also that administratively, CBN, well, you don't blame me. INEC has, according to Comrade, they are performing wonders. So, pardon me, but INEC has done so much that there's nothing we are saying today that somehow does not, yes, dovetail to INEC. Yes, the CBN has the technology to somehow limit cash withdrawals, especially through ATM, administratively or using technology. It could be done when you get up to a certain amount. It will not tell you that you are trying to exceed the daily limit. It will just tell you that it is temporarily unable to dispense cash or something like that. But in all honesty, I also think that without prejudice to what the Supreme Court has said, I still believe that the CBN has a duty to regulate the amount of cash in the system and thereby also try to control inflation. A situation where they just keep on pumping out money into the system, that will not help anybody. At the end of the day, Nigerians will pay the price because that is inflation we are heading to. Just keep on producing money, keep on producing paper money, it becomes worthless.
Okay, comrade.
Yes.
Now, I personally, I am not a lawyer, but I was thinking the Supreme Court was right in these aspects because I own my money, willingly deposited it in a bank, and the CBN now, the Apex bank that regulates the banking system, now tells me how much I should withdraw in a day. Forgetting
cash withdrawal.
Cash withdrawal.
The emphasis, the problem is cash withdrawal, and the explanation I gave referred to cash within the system.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Comrade,
So,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yes, no. I love his intervention. You see, it's not to be taken away from it. The powers vested in the CBN. By the CBN acts and by the subject, you understand, informing this policy, where the CBN is predicating it on. Is it to control inflation? Which I would say, okay, fine, because we have inflation. In fact, the inflation is always now double digits, and we are all in the know. It simply means a huge amount of money in circulation, chasing fewer goods. And the implication is that you have 1,000 naira, you cannot buy bread. Because the money is now flooded. In fact, the money has been flooded and it's everywhere. In other climes, you don't see their highest denomination easily. For example, you can't easily see $200 notes. You could see $10, $20, and all that, but you can hardly see. Even the same thing goes with pounds and sterling. But unfortunately, in our climb, our highest denomination, in fact, it's not even scarce. One of the qualities of money is scarce. Yes, money has to be scarce a little bit. Not that money, but then if you're saying cashless too, let us also understand that Nigeria has gone cashless over the years. Even people dealing on other items of or clothing, they now will bill some of their wares to places like Kano, and they receive alerts through online platform of payment. But the issue of saying cashless and then again saying limiting the withdrawal of Nigerians, I think council will do better in talking about how the rights, economic rights of Nigeria, because we are not talking about economic rights of Nigerians, how it has been affected or otherwise by this policy. Okay. But I think all things being equal, there are things there are actually situations that may require you having money. You understand? And then I wouldn't know the basis, or if you are trying to, because I know virtually all the ATM machines are programmed not to exceed certain limits. Some don't exceed 40,000, some don't exceed 20,000, depending on where they are located. If you are in school or maybe on campuses, they don't normally exceed 10,000 because it has to reflect the economic activities there. So I wouldn't know. Okay. Maybe I should go ahead. Council will throw more light to how the rights of economic rights
I want us to look at this the Supreme Court ruling that it is against against the fundamental rights of Nigeria.
Which of the fundamental rights? Because in chapter 4 you have those rights codified.
What they say, the cash limit, yes. The cash limit placed by CBN, they said is against the human rights.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. Which of the rights? You have the right to life, right to
have your.
Talk about
it's not. Yes, I stand with that.
Rights to work.
It's not one of the rights.
Earn money and do legitimate business.
The cash you have, your own cash, to withdraw it from.
There is nothing like right to
cash.
Yes.
No.
Cash.
There is how the CBN.
I want to come in now.
Will limit people from taking their money.
There is what you call right to work, legitimate business, and earn profit.
We are talking about cash over the counter or the ATM, automated teller machine.
But you can yet to read the judgment of the Supreme Court. I am yet to know which of the rights in Chapter 4 that the Supreme Court said the cash withdrawal limit
is illegal.
Yes, that it is breaching. When I read it, I will now know.
But
Otherwise, I still say that there is no
right
called right to cash.
I think even before now, even before now, there has always been limits, and that is what the CBN does to control cash flow. Like I've said before, you understand, and then to enable other agencies of government, like the NFIU, National Financial Intelligence Unit.
Maybe this is the first time the CBN is coming open with their
CBN. That is not what you see. The policy we even talked about the other day came from the bankers' meeting. The CBN will interface with all these money deposit banks through the bankers' meeting, where their heads appear to have.
All right. While we keep that one pending, let us also look at Afeni Fere, a pan-Yoruba socio-political organization, announced on Wednesday that Peter Gregory Obi, the former governor of Anambra State and the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, is the supposed winner of this presidential election. They also said that they've lost confidence with INEC because the election was not properly handled or conducted across the entire nation council.
Nobody is pleased with INEC. Nobody has said that Mr. Tinubu himself, even his supporters, have not come out openly to say that what a wonderful and lovely job that INEC did. They are still talking under the pews and operating under the radar. Everybody appears on the fact that this is the worst election ever conducted anywhere in human history. Everybody seems to agree on that. So what Afeni Fere has said is in line with what the generality of Nigerians are saying. Any person thinks otherwise. I don't know how days and weeks after you have declared a result, declared a winner, results are still being received. The results on which the person ought to have been declared winner, the results on which the declaration ought to have been predicated, are still coming in. That simply means, like I said in this program earlier, that INEC had already prepared the results, gotten a winner ready, and just allowed us to go and fool ourselves if they can justify the results they have declared.
All right, comrade.
Yes.
Talking about Afeni Fere, this is a
domestic observers, not the foreign observers this time around. It's quite unfortunate what actually happened, and like I have said before, and I will say once more again, INEC conducted election but delivered failure in the place of results. That is my word. INEC conducted election. In fact, INEC did not just conduct. We borrowed money to fund our budget, which covered the election cost. INEC collected 305 billion naira for the purpose of this election, invested 117 billion naira on technology alone, and INEC delivered a abysmal failure. Apologies, no, in fact, no apologies. And then it is not to be wished away that many people are not happy, including Afeni Fere. And so when Afeni Fere challenges as a group that result, it speaks to some. And Afeni Fere is to be found within the demography of Bola Tinubu. Now listen, if you look at the result, you see, even on the international circle, do you know that the President of America has yet to congratulate Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Yes.
What these most international, or let me say, most of our international collaborators and partners are just using to talk are diplomatic channels. They have not officially sent messages, you understand? And if you go to foreign media circle, the Times of London, the Economist, the New York Times, they have not been saying kind things about the Nigerian election. And I think if Afeni Fere says Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not win the election, perhaps it is they are standing on the right, maybe on a personal conviction they know. But I'm happy now that they are beginning to, that Labour Party is now beginning to inspect these materials. And I will tell you something, Council did establish that the results are still dropping in. And I can tell you that if you had taken the trouble to go to IRF, you pity for this country. You see what is happening? What in most cases, INEC officials were the ones signing results with me. INEC officials by themselves sign the result. Some of the results were not even signed by agents of party. Why would INEC do this kind of thing? You understand? And then again, most of the times you see that the results dropping are not reflecting what INEC had announced. Okay. So it's a serious one. So everybody in Nigeria, we have to interrogate this so that we get out of this electoral mess. You understand? I have always said that. I'm sorry. I'm dwelling long on this. I have always said that not that Tinubu cannot win an election under normal circumstances, but the process that has produced him is questionable.
It is the process.
Okay, Council, do you think this thing is a plus of the Afenifere's
Afenifere had before the elections
endorsed him?
They had. So what they are saying is they are only being consistent with their earlier stand. Secondly, they are also trying to demonstrate that notwithstanding their strategic interest in the well-being and furthering was addressed in this concluded election with Peter Obi as a focal point. There is no doubt about that. So they are a Orapo organization, but they are coming out to demonstrate that notwithstanding their ordinary stance, yes, that they still stand by what is right. Tomorrow, I'm happy we have a historian here. The pendulum might swing.
Yes.
To another nation.
Yes.
It might go to Arewa. It might be the turn of Afenifere, indigene, to be adopted by Ohaneze. And then they will speak to what has happened today and say, when it was the turn of your son from Ohaneze, we stood by justice, we stood by what is. Now we are demanding a reciprocity that you as a group representing the Orapo interest of your people should also stand by what is right.
All right, before we go on break, let us also say this. Obi Dati Presidential Campaign Council on Tuesday disclosed that the lawyers of the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi are making progress with their inspection of electoral materials for the February 25 presidential polls. Comrade, let me come to you.
Yeah.
They said they are making progress.
Yes.
Does that mean that the results are not tampered with? Because the materials they are inspecting are within the confines of INEC.
Yes. When they say they are making progress, they could be referring to the point or to the fact that they have been actually inspecting these materials and are taking notes and are making some observations or keeping some observations to themselves to be used as evidence. You understand? Or that they have actually covered a lot of ground in trying to inspect these election materials as ordered to do by the appeal court. But I want to comment. I don't know whether they can be able to cover the entire, to inspect the entire beavers materials and other things, because they have about 5 or 6 days now to go. They have about, because the appeal must be filed before 21 days after election. Yes, sorry, the petition rather must be filed before 21 days after the election, and they have about 5 or 6 days now to go. So I think all things being equal, they may not even cover all the ground they need to, because results are still dropping up to this material point in time. So it speaks to something that INEC staggered this election, and that INEC came to this election unprepared after collecting huge sums of money. And for that, I always call, let that INEC face independent auditing.
All right, Council, saying this, making the statement that they are making progress in this, conducting of this inspection.
Let me first disagree with Comrade. He said INEC came to this election not prepared. I disagree. INEC came to this election fully prepared to deliver a particular candidate of their choice that they had in mind. Every other thing that INEC subsequently did or did before it, both pre, during, and after, was just a script. to actualize or try to show what they had really conceived ab initio. Now, the lawyers have said they are making progress. Let me also address from what Comrade said, that he doubts if they will cover the entire nation. No, they are not even required to cover. What they are required, and mind you also, they are not challenging results in every place.
Yes.
Okay.
There are places that were the flashpoints, the black spots. Those are the areas that they will zero in on. Secondly, I also doubt if they had opportunity of inspecting the beavers machines.
Yeah.
Because the beavers machines are located in the various
Local governments.
Yes. Where INEC has its offices nationwide.
Nationwide, yes.
But the inspection they are doing, I would want to believe, will have to do with the readouts, the printouts from the system as now generated by the respective beavers machines. So what they are going to do, let me say it's simple, but it's not simple. It's Herculean, but let me try to break it down so that the average person will understand. I said so earlier, not today, previous program, that when you allege falsification of results, you must tender 2 sets of results. You must tender the authentic one, the one you say is authentic. This is real, this is actual, generated from the field. I am sure that they already have those ones in their custody. The ones they are quarreling with would be the ones that they refer to as the falsified results, being the official results declared by INEC, or which INEC used to declare somebody winner. They will now be demonstrating before the court. Here, you have the original result. Look at it, it is not tampered, it is clean. Now look at the one that is supposed to be the official one.
Yeah.
It has been mutilated. It is showing the face of a girl, and so on and so forth.
Nigeria Today continues. Sit tight and don't go away, and I'll be happy to see you as soon as we come back. Don't go away. I'm happy you're still there watching Living Television. Still your program, Nigeria Today. Moving forward, INEC chairman releases list of states where governorship and state houses of assembly elections will not hold. According to the chairman, he said the election will hold in 28 states, while about 8 other states will not be involved in these elections come 18th of March 2023. And the states so mentioned are Adamawa State, Bayelsa State, Edo State, Ekiti State, Imo State, Kogi State, Ondo State.
That statement, I don't know if he clarified that it is only governorship.
Well, it's the only governorship election.
That will not
House Assembly will happen.
Yes.
Because the election for the House of Assembly.
And you didn't mention Anambra.
Anambra.
Yes.
You didn't mention Anambra.
Yes.
Anambra is the first state. Anambra,
But you began with Adamawa.
You started with Adamawa.
Bayelsa.
Bayelsa.
So,
Okay, fine.
But 8
Now,
of them.
yes, those are states that we say they have staggered gubernatorial elections. That's they are the gubernatorial elections. They are out of sequence, considering
Off-cycle elections.
what happened in the past. whereby the court eventually, for whatever reason, nullified the elections of the people who were declared, and then fresh election either was ordered or a new person was now declared the winner, and the person, pursuant the provisions of the Constitution, was now inaugurated for a 4-year term, commencing from the date of inauguration. Okay. So it has nothing to do with when the general elections are held. It is different from the elections into the House of Assembly. Those ones are collegiate. They will go on normally. So in a state like Imo State, there will be no gubernatorial election. Anambra, there will be no gubernatorial election. But the elections for the House of Assembly seats will go on, because the governors are yet to exhaust their 4-year tenure.
All right, comrade.
Yes.
Don't you think, without making this thing uniform, it has a lot to tell about these states that are directly involved?
I wouldn't have. If I were to be one of the framers of the Nigerian Constitution or the Electoral Act, I think it would have been better if you have like the Americans do, midterm election. You understand? In between you have election. The issue of synchronizing elections or trying to make them be in sequence or be within the same cycle or within the same calendar is the bane of our democracy. Is the bane of our democracy, and that is why we still waste and spend huge sum of money. You understand? To conduct elections, and that is why it explains the reason why schools are shut today, because elections are happening across the entire states of the federation, and then at the restrict movement. Mind you, the day preceding the election, early morning hours of 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., there will always be curfew, and it speaks to something. You see, it speaks to the fact that our elections are still complex, are still ambiguous. In fact, we don't even know what we are doing yet, and how much we lose in terms of the volume and chance of businesses that are meant to be stagnant just because of election. Now, what is happening is that this, like a council has actually done justice to, these are states where there were alterations. It began with Anambra in 2006. This same Peter Obi was elected. In fact, he challenged the election of Chris Ngige in 2003. Until 2006, he got judgment. And by 2007, there was another election, and the Obama won, I think. He also went to court again to challenge that he has not completed his term.
His 4-year term.
His 4-year term, you understand? That was how it began. The next we started hearing of those state elections of other 28 states, you understand? But I should think that if we are serious, if we want to get it right, we should stop making politics transactional. Let us make them focus on issues by making sure that these elections happen. You see, in America, you don't tell a state when to conduct its own election. A state like New York, New Jersey, they know what to do. But here we will still have INEC, a humongous, in fact, a body telling us here now how to queue, how to be in line. But in America, states have the way they conduct their own election, and they will come up with dates. So I think we are still far from the real practice. The whole thing being that, yes, we have had alterations. They have to do with the governorship of these states, but we are not learning from them. Those should have been the states we used to do what, even test the beavers, do everything, know how elections will be, but we still keep failing.
All right, moving away from that 2023 presidential election results, the Labour Party releases list of Peter Obi's legal team following its decision to challenge the outcome of the just concluded 2023 presidential election. And then in this team, we have about 6 sons and 18 lawyers and 8 other lawyers, including a professor. Counsel, I want to please hold on. There's something I also want our viewers to know. Does the rank of a lawyer, either a son or a professor in the legal team, will it in any way help or influence matters for whosoever that is directly involved?
When you are called to the bar by the state of our law, in Nigeria today, and by the traditions we observe. You are called to bar as a solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Barring any constitutional impediments, from the day you are called to bar, you can appear before even the highest court in the land and conduct your matter. If you have a good case, you have a good case. If you have a bad case, you have a bad case. However, experience has also shown that you cannot wish away experience. Experience has shown that you cannot wish away experience. The person who is a professor of law, properly so called, the person who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, there is a reason, or there are reasons why that person has acquired such title. It comes with time, it comes with experience. And so, the senior advocate of Nigeria who has been in practice certainly has seen more cases than the average counsel who has stayed for 5 years. So you cannot wish away experience. It comes in handy. There are times when indeed I can assure you that experience as a senior lawyer comes into play. Just like every other profession, even in the broadcast industry,
Yeah.
even in your own as a historian,
Yes.
just even in medical practice, experience is valued so much.
Yes, the years of
It
experience.
is valued so much.
Okay.
A good case is a good case.
Even if you're a senior advocate and
Yeah,
you
that
can
case, you
make all the
cannot leave
argument
it.
in the world and you will lose the case.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's
there
not the
are.
rank that
Determines the winner
No,
or the
it's not
case.
the rank that determines the winner.
Yes.
At all.
Okay, the average person will think there are preferential treatments to, like that of the son. If you are a lawyer who has been 20 years in the bar and you are not a son yet, and then you have a son, senior advocate of Nigeria, and both of you are presenting your matters, and even if you had come earlier and yet you are
You
not
refer
a
to them
son.
as privileges.
Okay.
Yes. There are privileges accorded senior counsel. Even if you are not a senior advocate,
Okay.
and you walk into a court and there is no senior advocate there, and the court asks lawyers to mention their cases or indicate their interest in the matters before the court, you go by order of seniority. So the person who has stayed for 30 years post-call would mention his interest before the person who has stayed 20 and down like that. But those privileges are not the things that
So in the team,
that's not explosive mechanism. Now,
is the chief driver.
yeah, something like that. And he now relies on, just like if you're dealing with an aircraft, a fighter aircraft or a fighter bomber, there are people who load those ammunition onto the aircraft. There are people who you do not see these people, but without them, that is like in medicine. You have a surgery, you bring a team. Somebody, a woman might be dealing with a fibroid, and then you bring a gynecologist who is also a surgeon, and then you bring another surgeon who is a general surgeon, a consultant in that area. You bring the person in charge of anesthetics and so on. All of them, the nurses, they will all contribute.
Just like the American jury system.
All right, comrade. So, what are you saying about that with this number of lawyers?
It does not matter the size, like Council has said. I even heard that at the point I was reading somewhere in the news that Tinubu was also preparing enlightenment about 40 now. I think the number has actually increased to more.
60, yeah.
Yes, senior advocates. And this is one of the things, the paraphernalia of election and election matters. The paraphernalia of election and election matters. See, when we want to do election, we gather professors, make them returning officers. We look for the best. And after that, a certain professor sits somewhere to announce the results. You understand? That may not even reflect the wishes and aspirations of Nigerians. It doesn't solve the problem. We now proceed to court. We now start looking for sons to come and argue cases for us. But I wouldn't know whether that is even embellishment or any other thing as such. But what I believe is that like Council said, yes, election matters when there are outstanding conflicts or when there are gray areas. They need to be thoroughly argued. And for you to argue and get your case or to get justice administered or served, you must come with the best hands. And I think Obi is familiar with the serial fighters of injustice or justice, or you understand. So, like President Muhammad Buhari himself too. Remember, at a point, 13 sons came to defend his certificate issue. 13 sons. I wouldn't know what that means. With respect to the silk, and council, I wouldn't know what that means. Whether you see, it is easy for us to do these things. Hey, you are bringing 20 sons, 30. The case is, I wish and I want to say here, justice is served so that the parties involved get justice. Because as far as I'm concerned, this election did not reflect what many Nigerians had hoped, including some of us who projected.
All right. Council, before we go for the day, now talking about the judgment of the Supreme Court, can any person use it anywhere to put, just like in the case of that issue of the certificate and affidavit? Can it be used anywhere?
As a president, it's a president.
That particular decision,
yes,
is the law as of today.
Yes.
The only one I know that you cannot use, even though we had to study it under constitutional law as students.
Okay.
The one of 1979,
okay.
Where the Supreme Court that gave the decision
2 days of 1960
overruled itself in the same judgment and said, please, in future, mark ye my words, don't use this anywhere as president.
Okay.
Having said so, yes, as students we will study to know our legal history, and then the legal mind is being trained. We will also be told why they had to go that way. But then to be foolhardy for you to now enter the court and try to use that same judgment to press so many things. But in this certificate, it is the law today that, according to the Supreme Court, affidavit is superior to academic certificate. That is the law. So until it is changed, we are bound by it.
And that is the thing, you see, and it reminds me of the words of Justice Chukwudifo Oputa, the Socrates of the Supreme Court. May God rest his soul. He said, we are final, not because we are supreme. We are supreme because we are final.
All right, wonderful viewers. We'll be drawing the curtain here, but before we go, Barrister Chukwuemeka, let's have your parting word.
Let INEC, elections will be coming on Saturday. We are already disappointed. We have seen, I think, the worst. I don't think there's anything INEC is going to do on Saturday that will surprise us again. However, I still will appeal to INEC that there is still an opportunity to display reasonableness in the circumstance, and also to the people to not lose faith in this nation called Nigeria. Let's not lose faith. Let's not lose hope. It's, I think, the greatest thing. It keeps you going. Let's not lose hope. Some of us still have hope in this nation called Nigeria. Let us not, because of what Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has done, lose faith in this nation.
INEC, you have one more last time to bridge the gap in confidence.
Their wonders.
to perform another
I
one.
pray they don't perform the kind of wonder we actually seeing. Where you go to IRF, you see the different something unacceptable. I think they have this chance now to get it right and narrow down the confidence gap. The confidence gap is widening. The electorate, we now have people who are not willing to question, interrogate the system. And where you are having 99% voters, first-time voters, you see, people, young ones especially, it is beautiful. It is very important to talk about it because the future belongs to them. They have to participate in the process before they can repose confidence in it. So if they participate and see this kind of thing, how can they aspire to anything tomorrow? So INEC has the confidence of this nation now to get things right. But then again, I think the problem we are not talking about is from what we are gathering, information we are gathering. is usually the EOs. It may not even be the INEC chairman, the electoral officers, because election, from what we are observing, are rigged at the rack center. Every rack center has what it calls RAPEC, where you have the people who make the BVAS to function, you understand, and all those things. And these are the places these politicians go to, even when there is curfew. They go to rack centers to give them water, to give them food. INEC will collect 305 billion naira, then fail to provide lodging, accommodation, and everything for its staff. Nothing. We provide nothing except to pay. Do you know? Even council, do you know that the money they used to eat is their training allowance? The training allowance 1,500 for 3 days or so. For 4,500 is the money INEC is giving them to use to eat. So what about the training allowance itself? So can they eat after collecting? And on the day of election, no place is open for them to buy food. No place is open for them to buy food. Uncompleted buildings, primary schools. We know the shanties there. We know how this. That is where they keep our sensitive and non-sensitive materials, and that is where election, the league itself starts. If it didn't even start from the head.
All right, I think it is. I think both the barrister and the historian, I think the conclusion is very simple. The respect does not mean cowardice, but a cord can break when the respected does not reciprocate to that respect. With that, we are coming to the end of today's program, and from my far left is Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwagwu. Barrister, we are happy to have you here today.
Thank you, moderator, and bye, viewers.
Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi, very glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here too. Thank you so much. Bye, viewers.
Right, and this is your anchor man, Chinedum Adiele, signing off. Remember, tomorrow we will have our issues of the moment. Keep watching Living TV even after now. Our programs will be coming your way. Just keep
And so you can keep on watching Living TV. I can say in pidgin English. Living TV. Nade Kampe.
Living TV, bringing the word first to you.
Allow me to enjoy myself. Allow me,
Have you heard that Living Television, the latest satellite station on SatView channel, is received all over Nigeria and Africa? You can watch Living Television on every free-to-air HD decoder, including Strong HD and CSAT HD. Why keep paying for monthly subscriptions when you can have fun for free? With Living Television, you can watch lots of wrestling, football, documentaries, and Nigerian films, including discussions and debates on current Nigeria issues. Watch free live matches on La Liga Spain cum Serie A, Italy cum Bundesliga, German League 1, and French matches on over 80 premium channels. Wow! You can also sponsor your programs such as live church services and crusades, political rallies, burial and wedding ceremonies, promotional interviews, announcements, advertisements, documentaries, and